Hi, everyone. I'm the director of Etna Community Organization. Thanks for joining Etna Life Live tonight. Um, just a brief background on the show for any of you out there who are new. 5 weeks ago now, we kicked off Etna Life Live in response to the social distancing and stay-at-home guidelines that were issued due to COVID-19. And as an organization so heavily focused on community engagement and in-person interaction, we really had to think hard and get creative with how we can have more of a digital presence and stay connected during such a physically isolating time. And we are certainly grateful to be able to have access to technology in this way so that we can connect digitally with you right now.
Yeah, and at the same time as this was happening and our organization was changing, we were also hearing really personal stories from the business community about how they were being affected. And we wanted to use a platform that not only engaged the community, but also told business stories in a way that, frankly, we never have. And so we've heard in the past weeks from Etna Print Circus, from the Shiny Bean. We've heard from a local reporter, Erica Sebzanov, and two performers, Josh and Gab. And we also heard from Divertito. So we've had some great guests, some great stories on, and we're excited to have on here tonight Nicole from NC Hair Studio, as well as Councilwoman Jess Semler. Following that, we'll hear from Councilwoman Megan Tuñón and Jess Kirin, another board member, on a brand new initiative that we're excited to launch. So that's what we have in store for tonight. What's been going on in the community, Alexis?
A lot of things. I think first, I think it's been 2 weeks now, the food drive has been running. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You can drop off non-perishable food items to Emmanuel Lutheran at the All Saints activities building. There's a certain way you have to go, but essentially on their side building, you can drop off non-perishable food items to the volunteers there. So that's been a really successful and just positive initiative so far.
Right. It's really amazing leadership from Pastor JJ, and he's working with two AmeriCorps Vista, both Rebecca and Maddie, who were at the school district. They were at Shaler Area School District. Their year has been upended, and they've come to Etna and are making an impact here. So very grateful for everything they're doing. The other thing simultaneous to the food drive that's happening right now is that the Bread of Life Food Pantry has their weekly distributions. And I just think about the sacrifice that the volunteers are making. They are in harm's way. And I also think about the real need that's out there. Alexis, can you talk about what you're hearing about the numbers increasing?
Yeah, certainly. So the need, like you said, is continually growing. I know at Emmanuel Lutheran, they're a site for the student lunch distributions through Shaler Area School District, but they've also seen an increasing need to provide lunches for adults as well. So if that's adults accompanying the students mostly, and I think individuals as well, but so they provide meals every day. In the first week that they started distributing lunches to adults, they had 40 a day. During the second week, it increased to 50 a day, and now it's nearing about 70 per day. And that's really without any formal advertising. So then people are finding out that it's there, and they're trying to access it because the need is there.
The need's really there. And it's based on the generosity of Emmanuel Lutheran, Cop Out Pierogies, Glen Shaw, Elfinwild, and Hampton Presbyterian churches. So really grateful for the faith community and what they're doing right now. There's also another really nice story from this week, which was Etna Pedestrian Alliance, Tom Hill Jr. had launched the 2020 Etna Marathon. And I saw that and I just thought, what does that mean in a town that's 1 square mile to have a marathon? And so he's created a way to do that. But the underlying purpose of the marathon is that it'll be a fundraiser for the Bread of Life Food Pantry. Now, there are a number of ways you can donate monetary. You can give a check or money to Emmanuel Lutheran's food drive. You can mail it to Calvert Memorial Church. Checks made payable to Bread of Life Food Pantry. And then this new way, of supporting Tom Hill's marathon. So really excited that that's happening. Another great story. And Alexis, I know you got some good news this week in terms of funding.
Yeah, definitely. So I recently applied for New Sun Rising's Crisis Mitigation Fund, and we were successful in receiving $2,500 from them, as well as $12,000 from the Triborough Eco District. So that's just so exciting. That money will be used to support, sustain, and grow the different food relief initiatives that we're all working together on in the community, as well as supporting different initiatives to support local businesses. So that's, the distributions out of Emmanuel Lutheran Church, the distributions and operations out of the Bread of Life Food Pantry, the Garden of Etna's transition from, so right now they're transitioning from their typical structure to allow all of the beds at the garden to grow produce right now. That's good for cold weather. So cabbage, broccoli, kale, lettuce, all of that will be able to go to the Bread of Life Food Pantry to those in need. So that was just such a generous sacrifice made by the gardeners, Tom Quigley, who leads the gardens, and there were a number of volunteers out there over the weekend. I know Judith sent me some photos, and I saw Jamie Branch and Connie Wolf there as well. But so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Judith is working a full-time job at the garden, and it's just incredible because that's for the good of the food pantry. That's work on behalf of others, and that's so a little bit of it's backbreaking. That's loading beds with soil. That's hours on your knees planting. So really appreciate everything that the gardeners are doing right now.
Absolutely. It's just so exciting and such a hopeful thing right now. And some of the funds, lastly, they're going to go to an exciting initiative that I will just say will be introduced at the end of the show by Megan and Jess, Ego board members. Megan's also a Etna Councilwoman, so I'm not going to spoil it though, so I'll let them share that.
Well, I think we're ready to bring on our first guest, which is Nicole from NC Hair Studio. So I'm going to bring her in, and then I'll step off and you'll do the interview?
Yep, sounds good.
Okay.
See if the tech works.
Okay, Nicole?
Okay. Yep, I'm here.
I'm
okay,
gonna
bye. Okay, hi Nicole, how are you? Can you introduce yourself and your business?
So my name is Nicole Farine, and I am the owner and hairstylist at NC Hair Studio, located right on Butler Street.
And how long have you been at that location? I know you've had two locations. Could you talk a little bit about your own history?
I did. So I started NC Hair Studio in September 2011, and we were down in West Etna by the 7-Eleven. And then we recently, well, I guess it's been 2.5 years now, but we then located down on Butler Street, right by High Street.
That's awesome. I love your location right in the center of town. I'm sure
I love it.
That's nice to be able to be there. Yeah. So what is do you have a special connection to Etna? Like how did you end up in the community?
So I actually grew up in Etna. I started my career over in Lawrenceville, and I knew that I wanted to have my own space. I have a drive and passion for this industry, and I wanted to own my own salon. So at that time, which this will be almost 9 years ago, I could not afford rent in Lawrenceville.
Yeah.
So I found a small place in Etna. Like I said, it was down on Grant, and the rent was affordable. So I went for it and I opened up. And really, the location here is so convenient. So we have clients that come from all over, not just Etna. So they come from South Hills, they come from North Hills, Hampton. So it's just a really, really convenient location. Plus I live here, so it's really convenient for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely. I know right now, like this present moment has just been really tough, with the different closures, and the full closures of businesses that were kind of deemed non-essential.
Right.
Can you just speak to the impact that this everything, COVID-19 has had on you and your business, and particularly kind of the idea behind like businesses being non-essential versus essential.
So I'm going to be really honest when I
Yeah.
answer this. So, to be truthful, this has weighed very heavy. Like it's weighed very heavy on my shoulders, weighed very heavy on my heart. This is my business. This is my baby. Anybody who owns a business knows that we pour our heart and soul into that.
Mhm.
And so for us to be deemed non-essential, which I think my clients would disagree, I'm pretty sure right now they're feeling like their roots and their hair and their bangs are pretty essential right now. But honestly, to be deemed non-essential, I understand it. I really do. I understand that we cannot, in my profession, practice social distancing.
Mhm.
So, and as a business owner and as a member of the community, we do want everybody to be safe. So
Mhm.
I do understand that. But it hasn't been easy, right? So my business has been closed. We've been closed now for 4 weeks. And we're really hoping to reopen on May 1st. And that's kind of what I'm thinking about. That's what I'm prepping for right now is what protocols do I need to take?
Mhm.
What is the salon going to look like? How am I going to ensure and make my clients feel safe and comfortable in my salon space? So that's kind of where I'm at right now, is thinking about how do I come back from this?
Yeah, definitely. Those kind of the transition from being within the struggle to turning, I guess, to the next stages of recovery. How do we come
Mhm.
out of it? How do we rebuild after this? And I think that applies for everybody. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I think just this whole the idea and presence of resilience is so deeply embedded in Etna, and I've seen it everywhere, and I can certainly
Mhm.
tell that it's within you and your business as well. Um,
Sure.
and I know that while a business might be deemed non-essential for like public interaction and use, but it's still essential to you, and your own livelihood. So I know that
Yeah.
that as well. There's that flip side of it, which makes it really challenging.
That's the hard part is, I would always brag about me being in trade. And I would always say, oh, you can never take my trade away from me. I can always make money. Well, then here come the coronavirus and said, nope. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's where I'm at right now. But
Yeah.
it's not that I'm not working. I'm
Mhm.
still, I'm adding some new features. I am going to
Mhm.
start doing online booking. So I had the time to set that up.
Mhm.
I'm actually currently working on and making an online store through my website to make it easy for people to purchase products.
Yeah.
Um, I'm working on things that I haven't had a chance to because I'm always so busy, because not only am I a business owner, but I'm also an educator.
Mhm.
So when I'm not working, I'm educating. So, and I've really been able to dive a little deeper into the education portion of my career. So that
Mhm.
has been kind of nice. It hasn't been all bad. I have appreciated some downtime,
Mhm.
but I want more than nothing for life to just kind of go back to normal and for me to get
Mhm.
behind a chair and do what
Mhm.
I love to do.
I know so many of us are hoping for that right now. We heard similarly last week from Divertito, from Mary Ellen Gubanik, about um, now having this downtime, like taking the opportunity to kind of catch up
Hmm.
and really focus on things that you had been wanting to do, but maybe just
Yep.
couldn't find time for. And this, I think the education component is really interesting about what you do. So can you speak to that a little bit more so others know what that means?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm a Sunlight's balayage educator. So I teach hair painting.
Oh.
And I do have a Facebook group, and it is private for hairstylists only. It's called Hair Painting Fundamentals. I've been going in weekly, just sharing videos and, how-tos and demos, and then also talking about and sharing some of the things that I'm going to be practicing in the salon once we do reopen. So I want people to start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. I
Mhm.
want them to know that this is not forever, that
Yeah.
this is just a pause in our life right now. And
Mhm.
as long as we stay positive, and like I said, I have up days and down days. I have ebbs and flows. I have days where I'm really on top of my game, and I have other days where I'm on TikTok all day doing nothing. But, I'm trying to stay as positive, and I'm really, really, really trying to keep my community. And when I say my community, I mean my fellow hairstylists. I am trying to keep them, spirits uplifted, trying to encourage them so that they don't feel so down, because we do kind of feel personally affected and attacked by this, because we cannot work, we cannot provide for our family. So that's really hard. So really just trying to be there for my community as a leader, and kind of step into that role of being somewhere where they can be inspired versus doom and gloom all day. I said I never will talk about doom and gloom.
And you know what? That type of attitude is so infectious. It really is. So that's awesome that you're being that beacon for others and helping in that way, for sure.
Well, I have really, really great mentors myself. So I just take what they're dishing me, and I spread my voice. I spread my love to them. So
that's wonderful. So I heard you mention your online store.
yes.
How can we support you during this time? How can consumers support you?
So right now we have we're still doing, purchases for hair products. I'm offering root spray for those grays, because I do understand that there's a lot of people that are still essential workers, and they have to leave and go to work every day. And they may have 2-3-inch roots, and we don't want our grays showing, no matter how bad it is. We don't want them showing. And then I don't want nobody to reach for a box either. So I do have a safe way to cover your gray. So we are offering, it's L'Oreal Root Spray. As of right now, because I haven't launched the store just yet, it's just in the process. It's actually a lot more in depth than I thought it was going to be. But if you email us at nchairstudio@verizon.net, or check us out on Facebook or Instagram, that's how a lot of people are placing their orders. And I'm either delivering it to your door, or I am shipping it in the mail, depending on where you live. Because like I said, we have clients that come from all over. So
yeah, and it's just great to know, because for those who are making grocery runs, to Giant Eagle or Target or Walmart, where you can grab a hair product,
right.
Maybe everybody could just pause and think about you and other hairstylists about reaching out and supporting in that way.
Well, I think too, a lot of people spend a lot of time and money on their hair. And because we're in this state of panic, we don't want to do drastic things. They're going to have long-term effects. That's what a box color is going to do. It's not going to be an easy fix. You don't know what's in the box. 9 times out of 10, everybody thinks their hair is 2 shades darker than it actually is. So when you're going to buy that box color, you don't even know what your natural level is. So I think that in that sense, you're creating a little bit more. It's more for your protection, really, even than ours, because we're gonna be fine, because we're gonna be correcting that, and you're gonna be sad because you're gonna be paying a lot of money.
Yeah. So before signing off, do you have any final message that you'd like to share?
Absolutely. So, like I said, wait for your hairstylist. I know that times are hard right now, and I'm speaking not only behalf of me and my salon, but as from all hairstylists' standpoint right now. We miss our clients, okay? We just want you to wait for us. Don't panic. Really just stay home and practice social distancing. Hopefully we can get through this curve and we can flatten the curve. And then also, when we are able to open back up, support your local small businesses. Shop with them first. Like we need the support from our community now more than ever. So if you can do anything to just support your local, your local business, your local restaurant, your local anything.
Yeah.
Shop local, support local, especially when we're able to open back up. It is going to be very important for us.
Thank you for that message. And I'll say, before Robert comes back, that one of the purposes of this program is to highlight stories like yours and to compensate business owners for their time on the show. So with our partners at the Triborough Eco District, the Garden of Etna Eco, and an anonymous donor, we are very grateful to be able to provide you with a donation for speaking with us tonight.
Yeah, that's very awesome and very, very much appreciated too.
Awesome. Thank you. So if it's okay with you, I'm going to ask Robert to come back and then we'll to the next interviews.
Great. So sorry, everyone, for the technical glitch. What I was sharing is that we're here with Etna Councilwoman Jess Semler. And Jess, you wear many hats. If I can just name 3 of them, I'm sure there are more. I know that you work at Lindsey Williams' office, State Senator Lindsey Williams. You're also an Etna Councilwoman, and you are a writer for Pittsburgh Current. Did I get that right?
Yes, that's correct.
It's amazing. How do you how big is your hat rack, and how do you do that?
I feel like it's really, really large. It's funny. I think I need to be. I try to be cognizant of my different priorities when I'm in each role, but I can't really parse them apart because they all inform each other. So much of the work that I do with Senator Williams' office is informed through the fact that I'm now an Etna Councilwoman, and a big part of the reason why I felt I was possibly equipped to run for council was because for part of my job, I go to a lot of different municipal meetings in all of our different parts of the district. And so that really made me feel equipped to be part of our council. So it can be very confusing at times, but it's a lot of fun. So
wonderful. And then, so we have not had someone on the show from this, like from a state office. So could you give us a little perspective? Well, let me just back up and say, Alexis has been on the calls with State Rep Sarah Namorato and State Senator Lindsey Williams in your offices. So she's had some window into it, but I know you've had a different kind of day-to-day. Can you speak to that?
Sure. So we've been, my entire office is working from home at this point, obviously. And most of what we're doing during the day-to-day is constituent contact and helping folks, being their connector between state issues and different things that they need. And so it's a lot of the same type of work, but now rather than doing it in an office or jumping around to meetings, it's happening for me, my kitchen table with my iPhone and with my laptop. And right now I'd say what a lot of folks, obviously their lives are disrupted. Like listening to Nicole talking about her hair studio, like how many small business owners have everything upended right now. In the last couple of weeks, there have over 1 million people that have applied for unemployment because right now they're not able to go to work. And so a lot of what me and my coworkers have been doing is trying to do our best to connect the dots for folks as they're going through this really difficult time. And then from a higher level, my boss, Senator Williams, is trying to press legislation that protect workers, to keep folks safe, and to give people access to things that they still need. So, whole lot going on.
Yeah. One of the things that is really being elevated right now is how much more protection we need for our workers, especially those that are out there. And it's great to hear that Senator Williams and your office are all working on that and moving towards that. There's also, you had mentioned the unemployment, and that's an area where I know a lot of people are desperate and eager to get their funding. Can you speak to that process and maybe any role that you've had in that?
Absolutely. So for anyone who's dealt with the unemployment office or tried to deal with it in the last couple of weeks, it might have been very frustrating. Obviously, the system is overloaded. However, there are some good things happening right now, especially in the last couple of weeks. More than a couple hundred people have been moved from other departments into labor and industry to help deal with all of the flow that's coming in. And more than that, normally, folks are working Monday through Friday, like 8 to 4. Now people are working 7 days a week. There were even people working on Easter, trying to process all of these claims, and working 10-hour days. what's cool with that though is making sure they've had staggered shifts to make sure that the folks who are doing all this work are still safe and doing the proper social distancing, because we need to protect these people who are trying to get these payments out to these workers. So if you need to apply for unemployment, you go to www.uc.pa.gov and you open up a new claim through the website. And by now, we're told that the workers are pretty actually caught up with a lot of different claims. So you should be getting a PIN in the next few days after you file. And then you'll be able to file biweekly for your money. And the important thing is folks who haven't been able to file biweekly because they've had a delay in getting anything in the mail, everything is going to be able to be backlogged. So you're going to be able to get your money. And it's so incredibly frustrating for folks who've had to wait because this is such a stressful time. And, you know, oftentimes for folks, it's not just about losing your job, it's possibly losing a piece of your identity temporarily. And so, you know, but know that like people are working hard for you. But the number one thing I'd say, if someone has an issue or if you have any questions, my office, Senator Williams' office is there to help. Give us a call, 412-364-0469. We have folks, we check our voicemail every hour. We get back to everyone. Whether you want to contact us on Facebook or give us a call, we want to help folks navigate during these times. So
yeah. Thank you for that explanation. You know, one of the things that happened today, and I just wanted to share this story real quick, is that the stimulus checks came. If you have an automatic deposit, Megan came downstairs and let me know that happened, and then she said, number one, we got the stimulus checks. Number two, I wrote Nicole at NC Hair Studio at Verizon.net and ordered some products. So hoping that people who are receiving the stimulus checks are able to put that into good. Hopeful that the people that are working on your side, Jess, are staying safe and appreciative of all their work that they're doing. So next, I want to transition to the borough.
One more note, real quick. I'm so sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah, no,
go
ahead.
Is with the Federal CARES Act, now folks who typically wouldn't be eligible for unemployment, like gig workers, we have so many people that don't have full-time jobs, people that are working in the gig economy, and folks who are self-employed. Very soon you will be able to get money through unemployment as well. So that's also really important. I think part of what this whole crisis has brought about is there's a lot of different flaws or holes in our system, and this crisis is really amplifying that. And so while we're trying to put band-aids on things now, I'm really hoping that this crisis is showing us things that we need to change permanently. And that's one of those things, is providing unemployment to folks who are self-employed and gig economy workers. Sorry.
Yeah. I just noticed your shirt, which is Yins is a gender neutral pronoun, which is by our friends at Etna Print Circus.
Yes.
Nicole was wearing a shirt that is from Kia Tomlin, based in Etna. And I just love the wardrobe being coordinated. I myself have a Etna's for Everyone pin.
Yes.
So just really on brand and on point here right now. So
Etna Pride.
Etna Pride. The question I was going to ask you is related. You had talked about feeling more qualified to based on working in the office, but I was hoping maybe you could just share on more of the why, the purpose that was a driver for you to join Etna Council.
Sure. So I've been interested in politics for a really, really long time. I got involved for the first time really in 2008 when I was in charge of my Students for Obama group at Edinburgh University. And then I've worked in like statewide politics and federal politics for a long time. I used to be in charge of lobbying at Planned Parenthood of Western Pennsylvania. And that was really a higher level sort of like eye on things. But then starting at Lindsey's office, really seeing that where a lot of the real work that affects people every single day is these local governments that are doing stuff. And it's really impactful when you're representing like a couple streets or a couple blocks in our case, right? Like you can actually know face to face all of these people that you're representing and speaking for. And what I was really, really interested in is coming from the higher level stuff, going to local politics, you don't hear people talk about being Republican or Democrat. You hear people talking about everyday things and solutions and working together to get stuff done. And I thought that was really refreshing, because, you know, if we can start to just talk about all these logistical things and just helping each other make decisions that really impact our everyday lives on the basic level, then I think it can also help us start to have communication about these bigger issues. But also, I was friends with Lindsey before she became a state senator and before I started working for her. And I'm friends with State Representative Sarah Namorato. And I saw these amazing, cool women in my life running for office. And I've encouraged other women that I know, like, you got to run, you know, you need to ask a woman so many times to run for office before she'll do it. And when a position opened up on Etna Borough Council and someone asked me, I felt like this is my turn. I have to take my own advice. So I'm really excited that I did, and I'm grateful for the opportunity.
I'm really grateful that you did as well. Just your leadership and your voice is so important, and I get to see that, and we all get to see that in a public way through your role as a journalist for Pittsburgh Current. Now, I know yesterday you released a story called "Of Love, Loss, and Pandemic." Did I get that right? The title?
Mm-hmm. Of
And
love, loss, and pandemics.
and it was, you know, it was heart-wrenching, and it was a very personal piece, but you also had a very important line that talked about how everyone is dealing with grief right now. Can you elaborate on what you meant by that, and just maybe also talk about how can we navigate that? How should we be dealing with that?
Sure. So the whole entire world has changed in the last month. Well, particularly like in Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania, when everything was shut down to protect us from coronavirus. But on the cusp of that happening, my father passed away on March 14th, so a month ago yesterday. And for me, my dad was my favorite person in the whole world, my inspiration. He grew up in Etna. I live on Wilson Street. He grew up on Vilsack Street, one street away from me. So like, I wouldn't be where I am here without him. Just the best person ever. And he struggled with Alzheimer's for several years before he ultimately passed away. But so I've been grieving for a long time because it's been a few years since my dad actually really knew who I was, even though I visited him a lot. And this past month has been really, really difficult for me. But I found myself, once I came out of the couple weeks of deep, deep grief about my dad, also having this absolute sheer terror of everything that's happening in the world because of coronavirus. I have friends who have relatives in different states who have died. I'm talking to folks who are nurses in other states who are talking about the scariest things that they're seeing every day when they go to work that you wouldn't think would happen in our country. And it has me so afraid for what could happen here. And I realized going back and forth that I'm not just grieving my dad, I'm grieving the loss of, what normal was. And I was talking to somebody about it and saying, sometimes I can't get up, and then sometimes I just like wake up and I can't fall asleep. And they said, that's a grief response, and we're all having it. That's a trauma response. And I think that's something that I think about, and I hadn't really given weight to until someone said it out loud, that right now, all of us, this is not normal, right? And when we experience fear, which there's plenty of reason to be afraid right now, it's fight, flight, or freeze. And I'm grateful that my response is freeze, like I'm hunkering down. But for a lot of folks, there's just sheer terror for the world that we're living in right now. I mean, we have people who are losing their jobs. We don't know when they're going to be able to get jobs again. We don't know. People who aren't going to be able to graduate college and go into the regular workforce. Like when I graduated, it was right when the housing bubble burst, and they're like, guess what? No one is going to really have like all these career prospects. So many people that had job offers. It was just kidding. And that was scary and weird, but we were allowed to hold each other and hug each other and, convene. And now we're in this space where we aren't allowed to be in touch face to face, where we can't have, you're not able to move around. And that is traumatic on a big level. And I think it's really important that folks, whatever feelings people have right now around this, whether it means shutting down and just being really sleepy and watching TikTok all day, which is a valid thing, or, obsessively cleaning the house, or like being really angry. Like, these are all of the reactions we're having are normal responses to trauma and fear, and we need to give space to that. I found that I started reading a book about grief before my dad passed away, even, because I've been kind of in a cycle of grief, and it's been really helpful to me. And something that I thought about was, I've had these moments where I've been really, really sad because I miss my dad so much, where I would just be in inexplicable pain and crying. And when anyone feels hurt, you don't want to feel that way. You want to move to the next thing. You want to distract away from that feeling. You want to push it away. But through this book that I've been reading, it said, basically your grief is a reflection of your capacity to love and be loved. And that actually made me kind of look at it in a different way. I'm in a lot of pain, but I wouldn't be able to have that pain if I didn't have something amazing and beautiful and wonderful to grieve. And so a few times when I've found myself in those moments of severe pain, it's like, okay, this is the worst of it, but let's just sit here and feel it and go through it. And it's a way of, actually, I can sit here and I can be in this moment and I'm honoring it. So I think for folks, regardless of whether it's like you've lost your job, or your partner lost your job, or you're stuck at home with your roommate who sucks, possibly, you know what I mean? Like, create space to feel your feelings, because we need to feel through them to get through them. And this isn't going to be forever. And it's okay to acknowledge how hard it is and how unhappy it is for some folks. So I think really we need to be gentle with ourselves and with each other. And whatever your capacity to help others, whether it's, donating or volunteering in different ways, some days it's going to be different than others. So when you have those moments to help others, go for it. But if not, don't feel like you need to be super productive and learn a new skill or do all of these things in this moment, because this isn't a normal time. We're not just on vacation. This is a trauma time for a lot of folks. And I think we need to honor that and give it the space and breath that it has. I hope that makes sense.
I have absolutely no follow-up to that, Jess, and I just want to thank you for being the voice of that. And it's just not something I could personally say, so I really appreciate your perspective on it. It's definitely making me think of when you were just speaking of, if you're feeling loss right now, it could be for many different reasons. If you're feeling grief right now, it could be for many different reasons. And there's a point of reflection that we should all be doing as well on what our lives were. And I definitely think back to the line that Allison used a few weeks ago, how we can appreciate the things that we had before, but also the need to rebuild in a whole new way, in a better way. Some things in life that you can't do that with. Some of these systems that you're working on, both at Etna Council and at the state office, particularly through your worker protections, these kinds of things, we need to stay motivated and focused on as well. So I really just appreciate everything that you had to say. Do you have any final message for the good people of Etna, your constituents?
Just, be gentle with with yourselves, with each other. Buy stuff from our local businesses. I got an amazing Easter dinner from Porky's, my favorite restaurant in the world. And we are all in this together. It's true. We really are.
Thank you so much, Jess. I'm going to now transition to our third part, which is an announcement from your fellow councilwoman and also another Etna Community Organization board member. So thank you, Jess, for being on the show.
Thank you.
Okay, bringing on Jess Kirin. And here's Jess. Hi, Jess. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Good. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself? I'm going to step off and let Megan on.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hello, everybody. My name is Jessica Kirin. I am a resident of Etna. Hi, Megan.
Jen.
Resident of Etna. I am an eco board member. I'm a food champion, and by profession, I am a registered dietitian.
Great. Hi, I'm Megan Tuñón, in the same house as Robbie Tuñón, as you can probably tell. And I am also an eco board member, Etna council person. Hi, Jess. You were so amazing. Thank you for those wonderful words. That was really inspiring. And thank you for sharing your personal story with us. So I'm here along with Jess to talk about a new program that we are launching today, and it's called Dinners for Neighbors. And it's a program that we have seen be really successful in some of our neighboring communities. And the basic premise of it is that we are going to be launching a fundraiser on our Facebook website. And the money that we raise for the fundraiser is going to go directly to our local restaurants and caterers who are going to be preparing grab-and-go dinners one night a week for families in the community who may need an extra meal. We really like this program because we think it has a triple impact for the community. The first being that we are going to be able to invest in our local businesses who are struggling right now. We really want to help them come out of the other side of this crisis and be able to get back to their full capacity. You know, we certainly don't want to lose any of the wonderful small businesses we have in our community. The second impact is that obviously we're feeding families and individuals who are also struggling right now with food insecurity. And the third impact is that we're giving an outlet to other community members who want to be able to give back. So obviously we all want to help in ways that we can. We want to help at the local level in our communities where we live. Etna is a community of doers. We want to get out and we want to do things and we want to help. And that's not really possible right now. So this is an outlet where you can do something and give back, you know, from your sofa online. This program was adapted from a program that our neighbors in Fox Chapel and Sharpsburg launched a few weeks ago. Theirs was called Dinner for Friends. So we only tweaked it a tiny little bit. And theirs has been so successful. They set a target of $5,000 for their online fundraiser. And today they have raised over $17,000. So that is a lot of meals. It's going to their senior towers located in Blawnox and Sharpsburg, as well as different distribution sites throughout those boroughs. So we're going to emulate that. I spoke with Bonnie DeMott of Second Harvest in Sharpsburg, and she helped me work through some of the logistics of the program. So basically, we are also going to be delivering meals to our senior tower at the Etna Commons. And we're also going to be holding a distribution point at the Few Hall parking lot every Wednesday night beginning at 5. So people can come, you can do a drive-up pickup, a walk-up pickup. These are going to be grab-and-go meals catered by our local restaurants. And so there's going to be very limited contact with the very few volunteers that will be there, keeping in line with the different guidelines that we have for safety. Each week, we'll have a different local restaurant or caterer prepare the meals. And like I said, it'll be like a first come, first serve basis. And we hope that each week we can expand the number of meals that we have based on the need that we're seeing. And we actually were able to do like what we call a soft launch tonight up at the Commons, where we delivered meals from Porky's to just perked up a little bit there, to all the residents up there and the employees. Porky's did a really great job. They came through big time for us, and they created like a really lovely meal for the residents up there. It was, you know, pulled from all the different food groups, which is something that is part of our mission at ECO, not just to help with food insecurity, but also to provide food education and help with
Okay, there's the meal. It's probably hard to see on the phone. To help educate people about nutrition, and that's where Jess comes in because that's her area of expertise. So she's going to talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So, as a community, we have developed our Etna Food Vision Statement, which is that Etna is a food secure community with opportunities to grow, buy, share, and eat food locally. And this was something that was developed through our Eco District meetings prior to all of this happening. So the Dinner for Neighbors program, as Megan stated, helps to fulfill our vision and serve our community in several ways. But especially now during this crisis, we not only want to provide nourishment for our community, but we also want to help support our collective health and well-being in order to maintain healthy bodies, healthy immune systems, so that we're stronger and more resilient as people and as a community to fighting off illness. And a very important way to do that is through the food that we eat. So we wanted the Dinner for Neighbors program to be a means of not just providing food, but providing a healthy, well-balanced meal as well. And so we're offering and are available for guidance for our participating food businesses on how to achieve this, with some very basic suggestions that families can actually also use as a basis for building meals at home. A lot of us are now eating more meals at home, though we are trying to support local businesses. We also find ourselves cooking more. And so this is just kind of a basic structure, again, that we're offering to the food businesses that we're working with through this program, but also that families can use at home. So it's really just building a plate around a meal of 3 to 4 items from the various food groups. And so item 1 being some energy or carbohydrate source, whether that be a whole grain or a starchy vegetable. So it could be something like brown rice, pasta, whole grain bread, oatmeal, potatoes, peas, corn. The second item number 2, being a great protein source for the meat eaters out there. That might be turkey, chicken, fish, lean beef, pork, eggs. For non-meat eaters, could be something like tofu or legumes like beans, black beans, chickpeas, kidney beans, or peanut butter. Item number 3, a non-starchy vegetable, so any veggie, carrots, broccoli, side salad, cabbage, cooked greens, and an optional number 4 of a piece of fruit. And this way, our Dinner for Neighbors meals can help not just provide for, but also support our community's health at the same time.
Great. Thanks, Jess. So just to reiterate, we are going to be launching the Facebook fundraiser in the coming week. So make sure if you are able and willing to donate that you're looking out for that fundraiser to get started. And I think that's basically it. Robbie's looking at me, so I thought he had something else to say. Okay, no, great. Yes. So look out for that fundraiser, and please give where you can, and hopefully we can expand the program and have it last throughout the duration of this crisis, however long that is, so that we can both support our businesses and families and individuals in need. Also, if you're looking for a new hairstylist when this is all over, I recommend Nicole. I go to her. She's awesome. You can tell she's got a great personality, and she's like super duper talented. Okay, bye everyone.
Okay, thank you, Jess. Thank you, Megan. I'm going to bring on Alexis here. Here she is. Hey, Alexis, what do you think about what you heard today?
So many good, positive things to look forward to. A lot, it's hard to get through this moment. I was really touched by Jess's story on grief, and that's a really good reminder. And it was also a good reminder from Nicole that there's light at the end of the tunnel, and that we're all just doing our best, no matter what impact or what act that is. We're all just doing our best to get through it. And I'm excited on our end to launch this Dinners for Neighbors program too, so that we can help meet more of the need. Yeah.
And Jess, as a fellow board member, how do you feel about how this whole pivot has been to new programs and launching new initiatives? How are you reacting to all of that? What's been going on, and also your role in it?
I mean, I'm not surprised at the way that Etna has turned out. Food is oftentimes the first need in situations like this, in crisis situations. So while it's an unfortunate situation, I'm not surprised at all how quickly that our community has kind of banded together and been able to start these programs and really provide for our residents, immediately.
Yeah, it's really amazing. One of the things that's really special about this community is how well it's connected. And I was just going to kind of sign off with just some of the partners and the things that I've seen in the last 4 weeks that have just been outstanding. And it really always starts with Etna Borough. It starts with Mary Ellen Ramage and the leadership that she's provided. It then goes to our police and our fire department and our first responders at EMS. Incredible work that they do. I think of how early Emmanuel Lutheran jumped at the ability to provide food to people, both from the Shaler School District and then through adult lunches. I think of every month what the Bread of Life does, their volunteers and how they package and how they've adjusted their protocols to keep people safe. I think of the Garden of Etna and how they've adapted and how they've changed to provide more food to more people. And other partners like the Etna Economic Development Corporation are donating. The Triborough Eco District are trying to figure it out. Our state senator and our state rep are active. And there's just so many great partners that are kind of coalescing, coming together, collaborating, and making sure that the community has a chance. And I'm always inspired by that. I know I left out 2 people in particular that I like to highlight. Every day that we have a food drive, the mayor, Tom Rangers, and his wife are there. They're working hard down there. So I'm grateful to our mayor. And I mentioned it earlier, but I'm grateful to people like Tom Hill Jr. who are putting on a fundraiser, people that are finding ways to help during this time period. And also, each of these people are going through what Jess Semler had talked about, which is off days, and they're dealing with it, and it's difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think for that, Robert, it's important to note that in some form, people could respond to grief or times of hardship through action. And so just to highlight Tom Hill and a lot of the work that the volunteers are doing, action is something that is a response to them, and others, that it's okay to not have that response. It's okay to process it however you need to, just to echo Jess's message, and just so grateful for everybody who's been part of this. Yeah.
So I'm going to bring on Jess Semler. We're going to do our goodbye wave. Okay. All right. Well.
And Nicole.
I think Nicole's off I think Nicole signed off.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining us this week. Tune in next week for more stories on Etna and how we're managing the situation.